Bitcoin just got replaced. What you need to know and what you need to be aware of right here in the video. So let's get right into it. All right, now obviously, as we all know, Bitcoin is an incredibly powerful digital currency and by far the most popular of all the cryptocurrencies. However, it is slowly being replaced by a much more powerful force that'll completely dominate the digital currency space. That's what I want to bring to your attention here in this video so that nobody is surprised by this when it actually happens. I can tell you this much, it is happening and it is the inevitable. It is coming, therefore, it will have an impact on Bitcoin in a big way, as well as all the other digital currencies. Therefore, let's get into it and talk about what I mean by this video. That is the digital equivalent of a country's currency. Right here in the United States, it is called FedCoin or digital dollar. In fact, all across the globe right now, there are 114 different countries that are currently working on and or implementing the digital equivalent of their currency in their country. Now, let me ask you, do you think this is going to have an impact on Bitcoin? Yes, it is absolutely going to have an impact on Bitcoin as well as all the other digital currencies. Now, let me throw this out there as really quickly here, which is, no, I do not think that Bitcoin is going anywhere. Yes, it is still going to be around. However, we want to talk about this because this will have an impact on all of the digital currencies, because let's just throw this out there. Right now, we know that all of these digital currencies, as in cryptos, Bitcoin, stuff like this, it is not regulated, right? For the most part, it is not regulated by the governments. But if all of these governments come in and they start implementing all of their own digital currencies in their own countries, do you think that they're going to have a little bit of regulation on the cryptos that are currently out there, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of the other thousands of coins that are available? Yeah, absolutely they're going to, because guess what? They want to have all of the transactions going through their own digital currencies, as in their digital equivalent of their own country's currency, right? That is where they want all of the transactions to go through, right? So as a result of that, this is going to have a huge impact on cryptocurrencies. Now, again, I want to reiterate, I am not saying by any means at all that Bitcoin is going to disappear. I'm not saying that at all for any of the cryptos. In fact, we all know this as well, that a lot of the cryptos probably will go away at some point because there's just a ton of the different coins out there, and ultimately over long periods of time, it'll probably shake out to maybe a couple hundred, maybe a handful of maybe 50, 100, something like that. But realistically, right now, with all the different coins that are out there, is there really a need for that many? I think probably not really, right? But how many it'll ultimately shake out to be at the end of the day, not really sure what that's going to be. That is probably still a few years out from now. But the fact of the matter is, it's really going to come down to regulation, because all of these governments implementing their own digital currencies, remember, they want to have all of this tracked, right? The whole purpose behind digital currencies, now obviously they say things like, oh, it's going to be easier to, transact, and all of these other things that they continue to come out and say. But at the end of the day, we have to remember this much as well. All of this is going to be tracked, right? All of these digital currencies that they have through these governments, as in, the digital equivalents of currencies, it's all going to be tracked in a ledger, just like Bitcoin, right? Now, obviously, it's supposed to be anonymous, but is it really? I mean, let's just be real right now. It can all be tracked to some degree, right? And when it comes down to the digital equivalents of these currencies across all of these different countries, you better believe they're going to have the trackability with all of this currency and the transactions, right? So let's just say, for example, I want to send you $100, right? And let's just say that I'm using the digital equivalent of the US dollar here, the digital dollar or FedCoin, whatever official name they come up with. Again, it's probably going to be something like digital dollar, but whatever they happen to come up with, let's just say that I want to send you $100. If they wanted to go back and track and say, hey, you had $100 and you gave it to somebody or you paid somebody for goods and services, let's see where it went. Do you think they can track that? Yeah, they're going to be able to track all of it, right? So all of this is intentional, and this is the direction in which all of this is going. So to sit here and think that all of the paper currency that we're currently using and the current system that we have in place right now, to sit here and think that this is going to go on forever and this is going to be the way of life for the next 20, 15, even 40, 30, 100 years? No way. There's no way at all that that is going to be the fact. Now, it does not necessarily mean that cash is going to be completely gone. It's just going to be an antique. It's going to be something that all of us collect and think like, wow, remember the days when we used to go out to the store and actually give somebody a $20 bill to buy something? Yeah, well, those days are pretty much gone already. I mean, let's just be real. How many of us really use cash anymore? I'm going to say this much. I can't remember the last time that I used cash other than to buy lottery tickets. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But other than that, I cannot remember the last time I used cash for literally anything. Why? There's no reason to. It's so much easier to use all of these other payment, uses that we have out there right now. Credit cards, as well as all the other things like Apple Pay and all the other systems that we have available to us. It's pretty much already digitized in the world that we're currently living in, right? But rather than having all these other sources and things like this, basically what they're going to do, and according to the research that I've done on this and everything that I've heard about, it sounds like everybody gets a social security number and you get a digital wallet. You know what I mean? So that is what it's looking like as far as the way that this country is going, as well as all the other countries around the globe is going, is basically when somebody's born or at some point, you basically get yourself a social security number, you get yourself an ID number, and then along with it, you're going to get yourself a digital wallet. Now, again, according to what I've been looking at and what I've been finding on all this as well, kind of interesting thing to watch here play out. Now, again, I'm not saying that I'm going with this or I think that this is the greatest idea in the world. I'm just saying this is something that's coming here. And again, at the end of the day, it's something we got to pay attention to because whether we like it or not, it's happening, okay? This is happening, and it's something we got to pay attention to because at the end of the day, it's going to impact all of us in a pretty big way. But it looks like these wallets, these digital wallets that'd be available for the digital dollars, the equivalents of the US dollar here, it basically would be a wallet set up by these government entities. So basically the government would issue you a digital wallet, okay? Now let's just think about that for a second. Do you think that they're going to have the ability to look into that wallet anytime that they want to see, hey, what's Joe Smith there doing? You know what I mean? What's Joe up to these days? What's all these transactions coming and going? What's all this money going in and out? Now, obviously, they would probably not just snoop around in anybody's account for any given reason at any time, but that is probably something that they would have the ability to do in the event that they wanted to investigate further, right? Again, you got to pay attention to all this stuff because this is the way that the world is going and ultimately the way that this country is going as well. Now, like I said earlier in this video, 114 different countries all across the globe right now are currently working on / implementing digital currencies. That's a lot, right? That's a lot of countries that are currently working on this. So it is the way that we are going out there right now. So again, the reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is going to have some major ramifications on digital currencies, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, and all of the other big players that are out there. It does not mean that these are going away by any means. So I am not sitting here saying that they're going away, but I am saying that they're going to have some big regulations on these things, and it's going to be, impactful to these other cryptos, things like that. So something we certainly want to pay attention to because over time, just like with anything, the big players come in, and when it comes down to a digital currency, right, a Fed coin, a digital dollar, when it comes down to that, do you think that they're going to have maybe a little bit more domination in the space? Yeah, of course they're going to. Why? Because it's going to be forced. It's going to be forced domination in the space. They're basically going to force us to use these programs and force us to use these digital currencies, right? Whereas Bitcoin right now, is that being forced on us? No, not really. It's something that's optional. You can use it if you want to. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. But when it comes down to a digital currency, the equivalent of our green dollars, right? It's literally going to be you use it or you don't transact, right? That is what it's coming down to. So it's going to be more like a forced type of currency, and that's what it's coming to. So long story short, I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm not here to say this is, the end all be all, things like this. I'm just simply saying this is what we got to prepare for. We've been seeing this coming for a very long time. We've been talking about this for a few years now. And it's only a matter of time now, okay? They've been working on it. It's been something in the works for a few years now. Many other countries around the globe are much further ahead than the United States. And how does the United States like when other countries are ahead of us in anything? They don't like it, right? For the most part, the United States does not like when the other countries around the globe are ahead of us when it comes to literally anything. So it's basically like a big race against time, and they're going to step up their game on this whole thing. So Long story short, this is what we got to pay attention to. Now, obviously, the implementation of the Fed coin or digital dollar at some point is not going to be like all of a sudden they flip a switch one day, but it's going to be a gradual implementation of this over a period of time. Now, is that period of time maybe a year or 5 years? It could be something like that. But basically, they're going to start implementing it, and all of a sudden, everything is going to start transferring slowly into this digital dollar, right? So over a long period of time, it could be 5 years, it could be 7, 8, 9, 10 years that this takes into play. It could be a very long time, but eventually, just like other things that we've seen play out over time, it's like, oh, wait, that transition. Now this is transition. Now this is transition. Before you know it, it's going to be impossible to do anything without a digital currency. You know what I mean? I mean, think of other experiences that we've had in our lifetimes over the last several years, several decades, where we've seen things transition. And all of a sudden, over time, it's like, wait, I can't even do something without actually moving into this new paradigm. Does that make sense? So that is where this is going, and this is what I want to bring to your attention because it will ultimately cause pressure on all of these other cryptocurrencies out there. I'm not saying that we shouldn't get into them, and I'm not saying that we should either. Now, here's the thing. I have dabbled in cryptocurrency, okay, just to be fair, okay? I've bought way too many cryptocurrencies that I probably never should have bought in the first place. A lot of them losing money, but again, I'm the type of person where I like to play around with that stuff because that is how I learn all this stuff is I like to get in there, put a little skin in the game and feel like, oh, okay, this is how it works, okay? You know what I mean? So anyway, my point is, I'm not sitting here saying that, Bitcoin and all these other cryptos are a bad thing. I like them. I think it's a pretty cool concept, but at the end of the day, we also got to pay attention to what are these governments around the country doing because this is the way that it's going, and ultimately, this is what will be the new currency in our countries, whether you're here in the United States or all of these other major developed countries around the globe. This is where they're going. So anyway, something we probably want to keep on our radar here because it will ultimately have those impacts on all the other cryptos that are out there. Anyway, just a real quick update on this. Want to bring this to your attention. I've been reading a lot about it lately and thought it was super, super fascinating. I didn't realize that there were 114 countries all across the globe right now that are already implementing digital currencies. If I had to guess, prior to reading that information in a few different sources, I would have guessed it was maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe countries. I even think 30 would have been a stretch. I had no clue it was 114 until I came across that and thought, wow, I guess this is way more, kind of mainstream than many of us are probably giving it credit for. So that just shows me that this is probably coming sooner than we actually believe that it is, right? So anyway, hope this one helps you out. Again, I'm here to help. I'm here to educate and inform with all this information that I'm finding on a regular basis. There's a lot of weird stuff that's going on right now, but again, just like everything else out there, we got to either adapt and or innovate, or basically we just fall behind. So again, we got to keep up with all this stuff that's going on. Either way, I'm here for you. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.